Hi guys, I'm finally back with a new video. I know it's been a long time, or it feels like a long time anyway. I knew that I wouldn't be making that many videos at this time of year in the, what we call the off season of Eurovision. But I did promise that I would make a new video soon, so now I finally am. And the video that I wanted to make was a ranking of all of the winners of Eurovision from 2015 to 2025. So over the past 10 years, the past decade. I still think it is really weird to me to think of 2015 as 10 years ago, a decade ago. Like, how was 2015 10 years ago? I still think of 2010 as being 10 years ago. So, yeah, time is strange. But yeah, I've never done this video before. I think I have made a ranking of winners, but just in my mind and not actually on camera. So it's a new type of video for me. So I've made a personal ranking of the winners from 2015 onwards. But what I will do is when I'm talking about a particular winner, if that was not my personal favourite of that year, which a lot of the time it actually isn't. I found over the past few years, especially, that I tend to prefer the runner-up to the winner, but not always. But there have been quite a few times over the past 10 years where the winner of the contest is not my personal winner, but the runner-up might be. So I will tell you what my favourite was from that particular year if it wasn't the winner. And of course, as always, feel free to leave your personal ranking of these winning songs in the comments below and we can compare them and see how different they are. So my least favourite winner from 2015 to this year is, it could be an unpopular, controversial opinion. I think a lot of people would either completely disagree. It's a type of thing that you either disagree with completely or you actually agree with, but there's not much of an in-between. It's a bit of a divisive one. And for me, it's Portugal 2017. So yeah, a lot of people are probably rolling their eyes at me right now and thinking, I do not like your taste in music. But yeah, this is doing a ranking, something has to come last. So for me, it is Portugal 2017.
Some people have to fill the lower rankings.
It's something that I've just never really liked. I just never got into. In fact, actually, it's something that I never listened to. It's been like 8 years now, or nearly, yeah, 8 years. And I've never actually chosen to properly listen to the song after the contest. It's just something that I just don't have an interest in. I don't know if it's the type of music. Maybe it's like a slow jazz kind of song. I'm not really into that usually. I love ballads, but it's just not this one. But actually, on a positive note, and there is a positive note about this, I do appreciate how unique it is and how much it stands out, completely different from anything else. And I think I've said this before in other videos, there are some songs that even if you don't like them yourself personally, you can still appreciate the beauty of it. And I think this is quite a good example of that. It might not be something that I like, but I do understand the originality and the appeal of it. But it's not something that I choose to listen to. And it's not on my playlist. I have a playlist of literally hundreds of Eurovision songs and it's not on there at all. So yeah, it's just something that I don't like personally, but I do appreciate it in a way. So next up I have Toy by Netta, winner of 2018. And this feels quite low, but it is something that's just grown off me over time. I'm not saying that I never liked it. At one point I did, but at first I didn't really. And then it sort of grew on me after it won, but then I sort of got bored of it again. And I do think it's aged quite badly because, again, at the time, this was not my favourite. Fuego was, because you've got Toy versus Fuego. That was very much the scenario of the final of 2018. You know, which team are you on, Toy or Fuego? And for me, and for a lot of other people, it was always Fuego. I always preferred Fuego. And I think Fuego has aged better than Toy. And Fuego it's become more of an iconic, memorable entry, even more than Toy, which actually won that year. And that's why I know we shouldn't say, you know, oh, so and so was the real winner, even though a lot of people do say that. It just feels like, to me, Fuego was the winner, even though it wasn't. But it just feels like, as an entry, as a song, Fuego has just become more popular and it's overtaken Toy, and it's just become more memorable than Toy. And I think that still is the case 7 years, or however many years it is after 2018. Yeah, 7 years on, I think Fuego is more popular and I listen to it more and I just prefer it. But Toy, yeah, I don't mind it as a song, but I think if I'm doing a ranking, putting them all together, it's going to be on the lower end for me. Actually, before I move on, I have to go back to 2017 because I forgot to say what my favourite was from 2017. But 2017, as we know, was a very strange year. It's known with fans as being one of the more weaker years, especially over the past decade. It's not a very strong years in terms of quality of songs. I still don't really know what my favourite was from that year because Bulgaria was second. I wasn't a huge fan of that either, really. I mean, it was probably Italy, to be honest, and I really like Norway as well from 2017. A bit underrated, I think. But yeah, I'd say Italy, Norway, and I liked Hungary from that year as well. That was good. But yeah, the top two were just a bit random for me. Oh, also, of course, Moldova. Moldova came third in 2017, and I did like that. So yeah, maybe that was another one of my favourites as well from that year. And as for 2018, even though by the end of it, Cyprus Fuego was my winner, I did have other favourites before in the lead up to the contest. France, Madame Monsieur, they were my winner of that year for a long time, and Italy as well. France and Italy were two of my favourites in 2018. But yeah, if I had to pick one by the final, it would have been Fuego. Okay, so moving on to number 8 of my ranking. This could be quite controversial as well, actually. It's Heroes by Måns, winner of 2015 for Sweden. Again, it feels quite low. But we've had a lot of other songs since then, so other things will push it down. But yeah, the thing about Heroes is that I think there's a difference between the staging and the song. Because I've always thought if you take away the staging, which was brilliant and ahead of its time, actually, because you could argue that this was the beginning of creative stagings at Eurovision. you could say this was the first to do that, to use the LED screens. So maybe this sort of paved the way for creative and inventive stagings at Eurovision. So the staging deserves appreciation in itself. But I've always thought if you take away the performance and the staging and just listen to the song by itself, it's just not as good. You need the whole performance, you need to watch the whole performance to really appreciate it. I think at the time it was amazing and ahead of its time, but now I'm just kind of a bit bored of the song. I don't not like the song, I do like it, I can listen to it, but comparing it to other things, I just don't like it as much as other songs, and that's fine. My favourite from 2015, I don't mind really. I liked all of the top three, and there were quite a lot of others that I liked. But yeah, I think Heroes was a worthy winner, definitely. So next up I have Arcade by Duncan Lawrence, 2019. It's probably the most, or one of the most successful winners in terms of streaming. I think it's one of the most streamed winning songs, at least, of the modern era. I remember in 2020, slightly after it actually won the contest, it got really big on TikTok and it went viral in America as well, I think. The Americans found Arcade and I'm sure it did go viral at one point. I think it's got like 1 billion streams or something, a little bit like Rosalind in 2022. So yeah, it's very successful as a winner. But again, it wasn't really my personal favourite of 2019. Similar to Toy and Fuego of 2018, you've got Arcade and Soldi. And I was always on Team Soldi. That was always my winner of 2019, and it still is. Although I do think actually the staging for Arcade is slightly better than the staging for Soldi. So I like Arcade overall. I do think it was, a worthy winner. I just think, again, it's something that I just get a little bit bored of over time. If it comes on my playlist, I'm not always in the mood to listen to it. I might skip it sometimes, but maybe listen to it other times. So yeah, it's grown off me a little bit, but I do appreciate why it won. And it was very modern as well, very contemporary for the time, which is probably why it got so big in other countries as well. So yeah, I think in terms of a personal ranking, it would be a bit lower for me because I just happen to prefer others more. So next up, I have our current reigning champion, JJ from Austria with Wasted Love, the winner in Basel. So, I mean, I'm glad that JJ won, of course. I do have, again, a slightly, well, I say unpopular opinion, but actually, I think a lot of you might agree with me about this. So I think looking forward, or rather, when we look back at this song, I do think, unfortunately, it's going to be one of the more forgettable winners. Unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to really remember this in years to come. It's not going to be one of those really standout winners that everyone remembers for generations to come. I do think it is going to be forgotten about, unfortunately. I like it, and it did grow on me over time. But I mean, in terms of all the winners we've had, all the iconic winners we've had over the years, it's not really up there with some of them, and it's just not going to be that memorable compared to some of the others. I really do think that, but I don't want to be harsh because I do like it, and I think it's a great performance, of course, great vocals, very dramatic. The reason why I think I have this above Arcade is probably because I like the whole orchestra and the drama of the song, the build up in it. Maybe that's why I have it just slightly above Arcade, but they're kind of equal, really. But yeah, it's not something I listen to that much, but I do really appreciate it. I just think it's not really an exciting winner compared to some of the others that we've had. But I don't want to be too negative about it because I do understand why it won, but it's just kind of in the middle for me when you compare it with all of the others we've had over the past 10 years. My winner of this year, it was Sweden, but there were a lot of other songs that I really liked. I love Germany, Denmark, Switzerland. Yeah, but yeah, this is sort of in the middle for me because I think all of the other winners that I have above Wasted Love are just more interesting and just more memorable in general. So yeah, we've now reached my top 5 of my top 10. And I have got as my number 5, Tattoo by Loreen, 2023 winner. Of course, that year it was all about Tattoo and Cha Cha Cha, Loreen and Karia. And of course, you know that my favourite was Karia, Cha Cha Cha. Now that really is something that I do. That's my cat. Cha 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 is still the winner of that year for me. I'm not saying that I hate Tattoo. I like Tattoo. I always did. But I just prefer Cha 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 a lot more. I think what makes Tattoo great is the performance and the staging, that epic staging. You can't deny that that is brilliant staging. And yeah, it is a good song. I mean, if you compare Euphoria and Tattoo, I suppose Euphoria will probably be favoured by most people as being more sort of iconic. But yeah, I do like Tattoo as well. That's why it's sort of like in the middle for me. It's still quite high, but in the high middle area. But yeah, I just wish that Finland won that year. But it's fine. Tattoo deserved to win. It did because, it was just an all-round great performance. But it's just such a tough competition these days. The contest is getting more and more of such a high standard that even if you're the runner-up, you're still going to be remembered just as well as the winner, if not actually even more than the winner. So yeah, now, what number am I on? 4. So my number 4 is Jamala from Ukraine with 1944, a more kind of solemn, darker, sort of more serious entry, which is good, to mix it up a bit. Sorry, my cat is coming in. He might even come on camera. That'll be good. It has a very serious message. So yeah, it's got a great meaning to it, a great staging with the tree growing in the background. That sort of became a bit of an iconic moment as well. So yeah, this is something that you really have to appreciate the artistry and the emotion of it. I mean, at the time when I was watching it, and this is before I was like a proper fan of Eurovision, I don't think it was my favourite. It wasn't on my radar as a winner. I wasn't aware of this being a favourite to win, but of course I understood why it did. I don't really know what my one favourite was of 2016, really. I had quite a lot of songs that I liked. I did like Russia and Australia, Bulgaria. So yeah, I don't mind really, but I do understand, of course, why this was the winner. And it is a standout, memorable winner, I think. Okay, so now we've entered my top three. You know what my number one is anyway. Probably that won't be a shock, really. But my third place is Nemo with the Code, winner of the year before in Malmö. This is a really good winner, I think. This is a great example of a winning song. I just think it's really, it's really modern, fresh, different. It's a mixture of different genres, and it's something that up to that point we hadn't really seen much of before. So it was just really unique and fresh and just a standout in its own way. And I always really liked the Code. And it was sort of not clear, but it was very clear at the start, as soon as we first heard it, this was something special and it was going to be a contender to win right from the start. So it's no surprise that it did win. I think it's a really worthy winner. I mean, my favourite was Croatia, Baby Lasagna. I did prefer that a bit more personally in terms of the whole package. But it's a really strong top two, the Code and Vimtum Tagidim. I mean, they would both be worthy winners. So even though I would personally have picked Croatia, I think the Code is a brilliant winner as well. And just a really good song in general. So we have reached my top two, and my second place is Kalush Orchestra, winner from Ukraine, Stefania, 2022. It was a bit of a controversial winner. You could call it a political or sympathy winner. But even if you put the politics aside, I do think it deserved to win. Like, the song itself, it was good enough to win anyway, regardless of, what you think of it, with the whole political side of it. I think it genuinely was a good enough song to win. And it's such a good winning entry because it's a completely different genre. We don't get that much rap, hip-hop in Eurovision at all. And for a song like that to win the whole contest, it's just really refreshing, I think. And I always liked Stefania anyway, right from the start. So even though it meant that the UK didn't win, although we did host the year after, we still came second, and that's brilliant in itself. So yeah, I think it did deserve to win. It's just so different. I think it's really catchy. Just the whole performance as well. The staging, really catchy chorus. I like the fact it's rap, which, like I said, we don't normally get. And yeah, I do think it was a worthy winner. And a very strong top three with Sam Ryder, Chanel. Yeah, it was a good final. But yeah, this is one of my favourite Ukrainian entries, and there's a lot of Ukrainian songs I really love because they are one of my favourite countries in Eurovision, along with my number one. So I think it's really obvious what my winner would be. I didn't need to put any thought into it at all. And if you know me and you've watched my videos, then you probably know what my favourite is anyway. It had to be Ziggy Buoni by Måneskin, winner for Italy 2021. I've said a lot of times before that Ziggy Buoni is not just one of my favourite winners of all time, but one of my favourite Eurovision songs in general of all time, ever. And I think it always will be. If not, maybe even if I had to pick one, it probably is my favourite Eurovision entry of all time. To me, it's just perfection. Like, and it's an example of a perfect song, I think, and a perfect winning song, definitely. I think it'll just be really hard to beat this, to be better than this. I think it'll just be really hard to top that. I was obsessed with it at the time. Like, I knew that this had to win. There was no other option. Like, there was no way that this couldn't win. I know that Barbara Pravi, she was great too, but this had to win. There was no reason why this shouldn't have won. It's almost like it's too good for a competition. It's like you're watching their concert, like they're like the guest performer of an award show or something. It's not like they're competing with something, because it's too good for that. So yeah, it's almost too good, really. And whenever I listen to it, I'm always reminded of how good it actually is, like from start to finish. It's just, yeah, a perfect song to me. Even if I wasn't doing a ranking of just the past 10 years, if I was just doing a general ranking of like the 21st century of Eurovision, I'd still have it as my number one anyway. So yeah, it's a very easy decision for me, and I'm not sure if something can come along and have even more of a star quality like Sikia Buoni has. I think for me, Cha 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 is the one song that does come close to that for me. It's been like one of my all-time favourites. But yeah, this was just a really special moment. I do think it's quite sad what's happened to Måneskin, because they've sort of, well, I assume they've broken up now completely and they've gone their separate ways. Well, for now anyway. Damiano has gone solo, but it's all become very Americanized. Damiano, if you listen to Damiano's music now, and if you listen to Måneskin's latest album, where a lot of the songs were English, it just became more and more almost Americanized as it went along, and it kind of lost that original sound that we had from them before. If you compare their more recent songs to Ziggy Buoni, it doesn't come close to that at all. It's almost like it's a different band completely, and it's just not as good as Ziggy Buoni and their older songs. So I think there was a bit of a downfall with their music, unfortunately, and I don't know if they're even together at all anymore, if they'll ever get back together. Maybe they will. But at the moment, they've gone their separate ways. But yes, that this was their best era of their band, I think. Yeah, so Ziggy Buoni, I'll always be a fan of that song. It's a type of thing that never gets old, really, like a timeless classic. And Cha 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 is another example of that for me. But yeah, Ziggy Buoni, of course, it has to be up there as my favourite winner of recent years, if not maybe of all time. So yeah, there we go. That is my ranking of the past decade of winners. So feel free to let me know your top 10 in the comments below. Maybe you completely disagree with me. I know I did say that a lot of the time I prefer the runner-up, but not always, because Zakia Brongi was the winner of the contest and my winner as well. So it does happen sometimes. But it's been a few years now since my actual personal favourite has won. So hopefully next year that will happen for me. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm not sure if I'll do another video soon. I don't really have many ideas really, although I know in September we'll get into a new official year of Eurovision, so hopefully I'll think of some more videos to do. I think we'll probably be getting information on the host city in Austria fairly soon, maybe in a few weeks' time. We'll hear whether it will be Vienna or Innsbruck as the host for next year. I assume it will be Vienna because it's just the obvious choice, and I think because it's a big anniversary of the contest, 70 years, I imagine they'll go for Vienna and make it big because it's a big anniversary. But I'd be happy with Innsbruck as well. I think that would be great too. And I do like the pattern of smaller cities as the host. I think that works quite well. It's been working quite well lately. So yeah, that'll be our next news, I think. Over the next few weeks, I think we will get the announcement of the host city. Maybe I will do a video about that when we get the news, maybe. Well, there'll be something anyway. So thank you for watching. I'm always grateful for people watching my videos and sticking with me even when I'm not making as much videos as I usually do throughout the season of Eurovision. But of course, when we get to the new year, January, February, March, April, May, that is when I do most of my videos. So there'll be loads of videos from me at that time of year. But this time of year, it's just a bit quieter because there's not much going on in the world of Eurovision. So that's just how it is. So as always, thank you for watching, and whatever the next video will be, I will see you then. Thank you. Bye.